Hello and welcome to 1977. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to make the mittens. Let's turn around and look in the back. I'm going to do the cuff a little bit different, but I will include in this video the instructions for how to work the cuff, but I'm going to work the cuff just a little bit different. And so it'll be your choice to pick either their way or a different way. As you can see, this pamphlet is full of all kinds of wonderful patterns. You will be able to find this whole booklet, this whole pamphlet, in the link down below. Before we get started in today's video, I want to give a thank you to two very thoughtful and generous people. So Jeannie sent me a whole stack of wonderful patterns. Now, these aren't all of them. She actually sent an entire box filled with patterns. So that was very, very, very thoughtful. And these ones here were the oldest, and they really stood out to me. Look at this. Isn't this neat? That is so neat. It's from 1941. So a lot of these older ones really stood out to me. The box is filled with wonderful, wonderful magazines. But the really old ones, you know, they just stand out to me the most. And we even have some little ones here. Look at this, an original Work Basket magazine and a Learn How To. These are both the same book. One is just quite taped up, and there is some really neat stuff in here. Look at that. It's knit and crochet. So thank you so much, Jeannie, for that. Michelle from her own website is called Get Knit Faced in Colorado. She reached out to me and wanted to send me some knitting supplies because she saw that I am trying to learn how to knit. So I'm going to use some of the tools to cover up the wordings of her patterns here. She sent me, my goodness, nearly 8 or 10 of her own handwritten patterns. There's a couple of them, Colorado Fall Hat and the June Hat. My birthday's in June, so naturally that one stands out. And let me just get rid of the patterns because I just don't want to give away any of the wording. I was already practicing with one of them and playing around with this 1849 very simple garter stitch and knit stitch pattern that I want to actually make into a video. I've decided that as long as I'm learning and it's very exciting, maybe one video every couple of months I might do a very quick, simple antique or vintage knit, and you know it's going to be really basic and easy because that's all I know how to do. But I've been practicing with the size 6. She sent me these 3-inch. Basically, she sent me a bunch of hat patterns and all the tools I need to make them with. Isn't that wonderful? From this amazing brand, the Chowgu brand. I know a lot of people like this brand. I do too. I, in fact, bought myself a set of 5-inch. And eventually I'll get the 4-inch, and then I'll have 3, 4, and 5-inch. Now her shop is very, very sassy. I will tell you. Here's a bunch of stickers that she sells, and she gave me, and some of them are sassy, and some of them are spicy. Look at this knit-faced crochet nerd, introverted but willing to discuss crochet. I'm a yarnaholic, so it's not hoarding, it's yarn. Yeah. So there's just as I get older, I just prefer to crochet. Ma'am. Yarnologist. So it's really neat shop. She has a very sassy shop, and she also sells and sent me hand-dyed yarns from her shop. So she does hand dye all of her own yarns. And look at all this. My goodness. How wonderful is that? Oh, so thoughtful. And she's got bulky worsted all the way down to the fine weights. And she sent me sort of a variety pack of a lot. Although these two are bulky, I think these two are worsted, and these two are probably going to be fingering weight. Let's see here. Merino wool and nylon 4-ply. I just think this is so neat, and I love supporting small businesses. Now, we don't have any kind of a business agreement. Her and I were just chatting back and forth so much that she actually offered me a discount code for you guys. It's not affiliated in any way. I don't get any kind of compensation for it. We have no business agreements. She just gifted me some wonderful knitting supplies and some wonderful hand-dyed yarn, and then offered you guys a discount code if you want to check out her website, which I will leave a link for her website down below. She also has an Etsy shop, and I will leave her Etsy shop down below. Okay, so the mittens are worked all in one piece with the exception of the cuff. Now, this is my version of the cuff. The original cuff is one of those front post, back post. It's very chunky, and it doesn't have a lot of grip, and it doesn't shape to the wrist well. So, but I'm not the biggest fan of this type of ribbing. I am for blankets, but not for wearables. So I just went with a traditional single crochet ribbing. And as you can see, it conforms to the wrist better. It will keep out the wind better. And it's just, in my opinion, in my humble, not so humble opinion, it's better. But here we go. Okay, so I made this one a little bit too big. So the next one, I was playing around with the pattern a little bit. I used the medium length with the large width. The next mitten I'm going to make is going to be just all medium because I find this one to be just a little too loose. It doesn't allow me to hold things well because there's too much material. So you will see a difference in size between this one and the next one. Literally the only difference is I added an extra row on this side and this side, as is noted for the size large. Just going to go ahead and follow medium. There is, in the book, there is sizing for small, medium, and large, and I will tell you what the inches are on that. Okay, so for small, it's going to be 6.5 inches to 7 inches. Then for medium, 7 to 8.5, and then large, 8.5 to 9 inches, which I imagine could probably fit a man as well. And so instructions for children's sizes. So that is also covered in this pattern pamphlet. Material I'm using is Yarn Bee, which is a Hobby Lobby brand. The color is called Oats, and it's called Yarn ID. You're also going to need 2 hook sizes, your J 6mm and H 5mm. Okay, let's just get right into the pattern now. You will want to keep, we're going to start with the size 5. You will want to keep your size 6 very handy, as every other row, in some cases we're going to switch back and forth, and in some cases on the same row we're going to switch back and forth. So be sure to keep your 6mm very handy. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and work the medium size, which is 7 inches to 8.5 inches in length. And so if you meet that measurement, now you guys know I often wear falsie nails, so small fits me very well, but I want that extra for nails. I'm not wearing any now because I'm giving my nails a bit of a break, but 90% of the time I'm wearing falsies, and so that's why I'm going for medium. My hand with the nails measures somewhere around 7 inches, so normally I'm about 6.5 inches. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with a chain of 54, and we are working the left mitten. Well, actually, I'm going to show you how to work both the left and the right mitten. It's just a matter of thumb placement. So I will work this for the left mitten, even though I already made the left mitten, and then I'll just undo that bit of work and show you the right mitten. And again, it's just thumb placement. Okay, let's go ahead and start with a chain of 54 for size medium. Now there are varying instructions for the varying sizes. It's a lot to cover in one video, so the other sizes and their instructions will be in the pattern. Again, there will be a link down below. Okay, so starting with a chain of 54, it said to chain not tight, so a bit loose with your 5mm hook. chain 54. I will be right back. So now we have, for size medium, our 54 chains, and I will say this is a pattern writer after my own heart, because every pattern in this book, we work through the back bump. When I was growing up, we called this the back purl. I stopped doing that because it caused some confusion in videos, so just the back bump. In the second back bump, or back purl, from the hook, start working. Oh, and I am going to be working this entire pattern with yarn under. Reason being, again, back to growing up, the way I learned how to crochet, the way my sense memory is for it, my whole life until I started this YouTube channel, was to yarn under. I'll be honest with you. I never did amigurumi and stuff like that. I never saw a pattern that called for yarn under. I didn't even know that there was a difference until I started this channel. I know, but I didn't. I really didn't. I always thought this was just the way that it was done. And what I have found is the difference is yarning under creates a denser, a little bit smaller fabric. Yarn, and it also uses less yarn. Yarn over creates a looser, bigger piece of fabric, and it uses a bit more yarn. There isn't a better way. Yarn under isn't better than yarn over, and vice versa. It's just different. But that is the way that so take that into account. By yarning under, the size difference will be about one full row that you're looking at right here, smaller than yarning under by the time my mitten is finished. But it will be a tighter, warmer, denser fabric. And you're probably going to see me yarning over in a lot of videos going forward, because I'm tired of crocheting against my sense memory. I'm at, like trying to write with your opposite hand of your dominant writing hand. That's how it feels. And you'll note that in a lot of my videos, I'm constantly popping my stitches. It's because this is foreign to me. Doing this is foreign to me. My whole life, I did all of my double crochets like this, and then I would yarn up. I don't know why. But anyways, so you will see me working yarn under in this video and in most videos going forward, unless the pattern calls for yarning over. Okay, because someone in my last video said, why do you keep switching between yarning under and yarning over? My brain is so confused by trying to force myself to crochet in a way that's antithetical to what I am accustomed to, my 22 years straight of crocheting. Now, I did learn how to crochet when I was 9, but I've been crocheting regularly, full-time, basically, since I was 22 years old. I'm 44 now. So for 22 years, I have been working my single crochets like this. It just feels weird to not do it that way. I can crochet faster this way too, just not under the camera right now because you and I are having a conversation. So we're working our single crochets all the way to the end, and I might as well just work the rest of these with you. So yes, I definitely prefer yarn under when it comes to just a simple single crochet. In fact, if you go back to my Civil War shawl, one of my first videos I ever posted on this channel, I made that entire shawl in yarn under single crochet. And I couldn't understand why people in the comments kept saying, oh, I never thought to do a whole piece like that in just single and yarn under. I always thought that was for amigurumi. And then whenever I made my 1971 learner's shawl, I made the entire thing in yarn under single crochet. And it was a little too stiff. It wasn't stiff, but it was stiffer than it should be. And people kept saying, well, if you would stop yarning under, it wouldn't be so stiff. And I felt kind of embarrassed because I didn't understand what the difference was. Somebody on YouTube who crochets, and I didn't know that there was even a difference. I was very embarrassed. So I started forcing myself after that to yarn over, and it just always felt so foreign to me. Okay, so I don't chain one when working with single crochets to move up to the next row. I just do not. It creates a much cleaner edge, and Well, I guess I don't have a clean edge here to show you, but I just don't chain one. Okay, so now we're going to turn and we're going to work 25 single crochet across. When you have worked 25 single crochet, come on back and I'll show you what we're going to do next. I'll be right back. Okay, now that we have worked our first 25 stitches, just one more quick reminder, this is for size medium. The next stitch over, let's work an increase of 2 single crochet into the same stitch. The next stitch over, just work 1 single crochet. The next stitch over, work an increase of 2 single crochet into the next stitch, into the same stitch, forgive me. Now we're going to work 25 single crochet to the end. So we started with 25 and we're going to end with 25. Okay, so just work 25 single crochet all the way to the end, and I will be right back and show you what we're going to do for our next row. Okay, now let's go ahead and turn again. You don't have to chain one. You can if it makes it easier for you, but your edge will be a lot cleaner if you don't chain one. And let's work 26 again for the medium, 26 single crochet. Then we're going to work our series of increases exactly as we worked them before, where we work an increase, then we work a single crochet in the next stitch, and then an increase in the next stitch, followed by the remainder 26 single crochet needing to be finished. So let's go ahead and work 26 single crochet, and I'll come back for our increases. Okay, so whenever you're going to work your 26th stitch, you'll see that you have your previous row's increase here. Your 26th stitch should go into the first stitch of that increase. So this is 26. Now I'll work the increase in the second stitch of that increase. So let's work an increase. 1, 2, work 1 single crochet into the next stitch. Work an increase into the first stitch of your previous increase. 1, 2, now work 26 more single crochet all the way to the end. And again, I will be right back for row 4. Okay, let's go ahead and turn and work 27 single crochet. And then we're going to work our series of increases exactly as we worked them before. So I will be back whenever I have 27 single crochet worked up, and we'll work those increases together. Okay, so now I'm at my increase. I'm going to go ahead and work my 27th stitch into the first stitch of my increase. Work an increase in the next stitch over. 1, 2, work a single crochet into the next stitch. Work an increase into the next stitch over, which is also your previous increase. 1, 2, now work 27 stitches back down to the other end. And then come on back for row 5. There you go. Okay, now we're going to switch to the 6mm J hook, turn, and starting in the front loop of your very first stitch right here, we're going to work, again for the size medium, we're going to work 29 front loop slip stitches. There we go. Okay, so work 29 front loop slip stitches, and I will be right back to show you what we're going to do next. Okay, so there we go. For size medium, our 29 front loop slip stitches. Now go ahead and switch back to your 5mm size H hook and just work in both loops your regular single crochet stitches all the way to the end. There will be 30 of them for size medium. Then turn and come on back and we will work the next row. Okay, now we're going to turn and work 30 for size medium, 30 single crochet, and then come on back and I'll show you what we're going to do next. So just 30 single crochet up. There we go. Oops. And that's really how nice the edges look without chaining one first. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, so here is my 30th. Now we're going to switch back over to the J 6mm hook. And you see these bars right here. These are the unworked back loops that we skipped over. This is what we're going to work single crochets into. This is your very first one. It might be kind of hidden a little bit, but so don't try to work into, if you pick up this pattern and it tells you to do this, don't try to work into these stitches or these stitches. You're looking for these stitches down here that create a line. Those are your skipped back loops that we're going to work back into. Okay. So we just go right into the very first one, which is the most difficult one, just because it's a little bit tucked away. There we go. Once you get that first one out, it will, by nature, pull the rest of them out just a little bit, make it a little bit easier for you. But you're going to want to work into all of these skipped back loops, all the way to the end, and then come on back and I'll show you what we're going to do next. Okay, again, this was row 6. So come on back for row 7. There you go. It should be popping out like that. Your last stitch is also going to be a little bit difficult to find, but as you're working, you'll note that there is a bar right here that's almost going vertical. It's just being stretched out of position, but this is your last stitch to work into. So here you will see it look something like this. You have a full-blown horizontal bar, then you've got what looks like a little vertical, slightly slanted bar. That is your last stitch to work into. I know it's a little bit difficult to see. That's because it's coming right off the edge here, so it's a little bit twisted. But just try to get yourself up under that bar. There you go. And work your last single crochet stitch, and that will put you right on the edge. So there we go. Now we're going to switch back to the H hook. I told you there's a lot of switching of these. That's why you want to keep this handy, but I got to keep it off screen or else it'll cause my camera to blur. We're actually not switching hooks yet. Forgive me. I'm sorry. We're not switching hooks yet. We're still going to be working with the J 6mm hook. Sorry about that. So now let's turn. We're going to work the cable stitch, and we're going to work a single crochet into the very, very first stitch. Now chain 3, skip 2, and in the third stitch over, work a single crochet. Turn to where the back of that chain is now facing you and work 1 single crochet into each chain, not around the chain, but into the chain stitches. 2 and 3. There you go. Now into the first single crochet you made, work a slip stitch. Turn. Bend this loop forward and you'll see the 2 single crochet that we skipped over. Work 1 single crochet into each of those. Off that second single crochet you made, go ahead and chain 3 again. Okay, there's 3. And again, skip 2 stitches, bearing in mind you've already worked into this stitch. So we're going to skip, and in the third stitch over, work a single crochet, turn, into each chain stitch, work 1 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, slip stitch into the single crochet right that your chain is attached to. Turn, pull this work forward and work those 2 single crochets that we skipped. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Skip 2 stitches and work a single crochet into the third stitch over. Turn and work your 3 single crochet into each of the 3 chain stitches. 1, 2, 3, and work a slip stitch into the single crochet that your chain 3 is coming out of. Right there. Turn again, pull your work forward, and finish working those 2 single crochet that are under that chain. 1, 2, and then immediately go into working your next cable. And here is what it creates, sort of this little like coiled effect. It's very pretty. Okay, so for size medium, we're going to make 9 of these, okay? 1, 2, 3. Turn. Work our 3 single crochet into the chains. 1, 2, and 3. Slip stitch into that single crochet there, turn, and work the 2 skipped single crochets. 1, let me pull this a little bit more taut. There we go, 1 and 2. Okay, so again, work that until you have completed 9 of these. We've made 4 together, so just need to make 5 more if you are making the medium size. The book will indicate how many of these little like scallops that you need to make according to the size you're making. So I will be right back whenever I have 9 of these made, and I will show you how we're going to finish up this section here. Okay, now we're going to go ahead. We just worked our last little scallop here into the same stitch that we just worked into right there, the last stitch that you can see has been worked into. Go ahead and work a single crochet, switch to the 5mm H hook, and work the remaining 31 for size medium, 31 single crochet. And then come on back for the next row, for row 8. Okay, now let's go ahead and work row 8. Let's turn, and for size medium, we're going to work into each of the next 32 single crochet. Your 32nd single crochet is going to be coming right off the edge of this little scallop right here. So these are your 2 single crochet directly behind the little scallop. So this is going to be stitch number 32 right here. So let's go ahead and work 32 single crochet and then come on back. Okay, so now for size medium, we have worked our 32 stitches. So now we're going to work into each stitch behind the scallops. So because one of our stitches is unavailable to us, we're going to work 2 stitches into the first stitch. 1, 2, this is just to keep the stitch count even. And then the next stitch over, we just work 1. And jump over this right here, and then we see we have our next 2 stitches, and we're going to work into the first stitch, 1, 2, and then into the next stitch, just 1. Next 2 stitches over, 1, 2, then just work 1. And when you get down to your last 2 stitches here, come on back and I'm going to show you what we're going to do with the very last edge stitches. This isn't mentioned in the pattern. It's just something that I personally experienced and thought I would share with you so that your work looks a little better. Well, what I mean by a little better is I'll show you when we get there. Okay, so for our last 2 stitches, what I noticed whenever I was working my last 2 stitches is it created a little bit of a divot right here on the end. If I were to work 2 stitches into the first stitch and only 1 into the last. So I recommend that you just work 1 stitch into the first stitch and then 2 into the last to kind of push that end out a little bit. And that will make it more even. There. No divot now. Before, I would have a divot that looked a bit like this. I didn't like that. So there we go. Okay, let's move on to the next row now. Row 10. Row 9. Row 9. Okay, so for row 9, we're going to switch hooks and repeat row 5, and then we're going to follow it up with row 6. So row 5 was our front loop only slip stitch. We're basically just going to create another little ridge for the other side of this cabling. So here we go, working into the very first front loop. There we go. And yes, I know I'm yarning over for the slip stitches. That for some reason feels fine to do. It doesn't feel weird. But making my single crochets, I just always yarned under. Okay, so if you are following your particular mitten size, then work that many slip stitches. We worked 29 down here, so we're going to work 29 up here. Okay? Okay, 29 slip stitches up, and we're going to move back to the 5mm hook and complete the remainder of our single crochet. Then for row 6, I can just tell you that ahead of time because it's really easy. You're going to turn and work. Let me get the exact count for you. If you're working medium, you're going to turn and work your 30 single crochet back up and then switch back over to the J 6mm hook and start working in these back loops that we just skipped. Okay? When you get to the end of row 6, come on back and I'll show you what we're going to do next. So I totally failed to hit the record button whenever I started row 11. So when you get down to the end of row 10, which is a repeat of row 6, turn and for size medium, work 27 single crochet up and then come on back and I'll show you what we're going to do once you have 27 single crochet worked. Okay, so now I have my 27 stitches worked. So now we're going to decrease the next 2 stitches, go into the first stitch, draw up a loop, go into the next stitch over, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. You just decreased 2 stitches into 1. The next stitch over, we work 1 single crochet, and then over the next 2 stitches, we're going to decrease those the same. 1, 2, pull through all 3. Now we work 1 single crochet into each of the remaining 27 single crochet to the end. And then turn and come on back and I'll show you what we're going to do for the next round. Okay, our next row will be a decrease row again. So we're going to turn and work 1 single crochet into each of the next 26 single crochet and then come on back for the decrease. Again, for size medium. 26 single crochet. I'll be right back. 26 single crochet. Now we're going to go ahead and decrease over each of the next 2 stitches. So we draw up a loop into the next stitch, draw up a loop into the next stitch over, pull through all 3. Next stitch, we just work 1 single crochet and then we're going to decrease each of the next 2. So that's 1 and 2. Now we're just going to work 1 single crochet into each of the remaining 26 single crochet to the end and then come on back for the next row, which will be row 13. This is row 12. Okay, now we're going to work 1 more decrease row. So let's go ahead and turn, and for size medium, we're going to work into each of the next 25 stitches. So work 1 single crochet into each of the next 25. Okay, 25 single crochet worked. Let's go ahead and do our decrease over the next 2 stitches. That's 1 single crochet into the next stitch over, decrease over each of the next 2, 1, 2, and then just work 25 single crochet to the end. So now let's work the thumb portion. We're going to turn, and for size medium, we're going to work 1 single crochet into each of the first 11 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now for size medium, we're going to chain 10. This chain count will be different for the other 2 sizes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And working in the back bumps, work 1 single crochet, and skipping the first, of course. So in the second back bump from the hook, work 1 single crochet all the way down. That's 1 for a total of 9. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nope, I split that one. 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so now the work is facing this way. Let's go ahead and turn to where we are now working in the direction of the cuff, and work 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. This very first stitch right here is the first stitch you need to work into. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Without chaining, let's turn and work 1 single crochet in each of the next 12 stitches, starting with the very first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, split that one too. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. That was row 3 of the thumb. Now for row 4 of the thumb, we turn and we're going to work 1 single crochet in each of the first 12 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, I'll be right back. And we're also going to work in the stitches we left unworked, which for size medium should be 8. I should have told you that before. We should have had 8 stitches left unworked. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8. So work 1 single crochet into each of the 8 unworked stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. There we go, starting to look like a thumb. Okay, now for row 6, let's turn, and for size medium, let's work in the first 15 single crochet. Okay, now for row 5 of the thumb portion, we're just going to work 1 single crochet all the way to the end. For size medium, that will be 20 single crochets across. 2, 3, 4, and 5. I will be right back. Okay, there we go. All the way. Now let's turn and work into, for size medium, the first 15 single crochet back down toward the cuff area. So here we go. 15 single crochet down. I'll be right back. Okay, so you should have 5 stitches unworked. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, now let's work row 7. We're just going to turn and work 1 single crochet in each stitch across, which is again a total of 15. I'll be right back. Okay, now for row 8, we're going to turn, working down toward the cuff again. We're going to work our 15 single crochet plus the 5 that we skipped in the row before. So we're going to work 20 single crochet across. Okay, so work your 15 and then come down here and also work these 5. I'll be right back. There you go. You worked your 15 and the 5 that were skipped before. Okay, let's move on to row 9. Very simple. We're just going to turn and work 1 single crochet in every stitch across, which is for size medium, a total of 20 single crochet. 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll be right back. Okay, so for row 10, let's turn, and for size medium, we're going to work into each of the first 17 single crochet across, leaving 3 unworked at the end. So 1 single crochet into each of the next 17 stitches for size medium. I'll be right back. 17 single crochet now worked, 3 on the end, 1, 2, 3 left unworked. We're going to turn and work those 17 single crochet back up again. 2. Okay, now for row 12, we're going to work these 17 single crochet, plus we're going to work the 3 unworked single crochet on the end. Very simple. So I will be right back. Okay, we're also going to work these 3 on the end here. 1, 2, and 3. So now we are back at 20 stitches across. So last row, row 13, we're going to turn and we're going to slip stitch in each of the first 11 stitches, and then we're going to single crochet in the remaining 9. Okay, and that's going to just be through both loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now we're going to crochet through the remaining 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. There you go. That is how everything should be looking. Go ahead, chain 1 and leave a very long tail for sewing. Now what you're going to do, and you can sew this up any way you prefer. Slip stitches, single crochets, you want to get out your needle and thread and do like a mattress stitch, whichever way you prefer. You're going to start with the thumb, and you're going to, of course, you have to work inside out, so the wrong side facing. You're going to start with the thumb. What I would recommend doing is taking your darning needle and weaving this tail. Here, I'll just go ahead and do it since I'm going to do it for myself anyway. So I would recommend folding your thumb perfectly in half and go ahead and weave these stitches over to the center of that fold. So I need to go over just a little bit more to right here. I'm just going to split right between those two. That way, whenever you go to sew your thumb shut, you have this as a starting point, and you can just weave in or seam it any way you wish. Okay. And did I do it backwards? No, I did not. Okay. At first I thought I might have. Okay, so there we go. You're going to start with your thumb. And this is the wrong side facing. You're going to start with your thumb across the top and down into, I call it the crotch of gloves. So down toward the crotch of the glove right here. And then what I did, once I finished seaming my thumb portion completely closed, I went ahead and just like I did right here with this, I grabbed my needle and thread and worked my yarn all the way down to the bottom like this. Then I turned my work upside down and seamed with the thumb separate, of course, like this. And I seamed this thumb portion, then I turned it and began seaming the side of the hand shut. So that is how I did that part there. It's very easy. It's just however you prefer to seam things shut, go ahead and use that method. And yeah, definitely you want to start with the thumb, come down, stop, weave your work in, you know what I mean, like come up under, pick up some stitches, and weave your thread all the way down to this bottom where you can then work your way up. And then with a separate piece of thread, you can either start at the top and work your way down or start at the bottom and work your way up. I started at the bottom and I tied this tail to the tail of my new thread, and I just worked my way all the way to the top with a slip stitch join, and I joined stitch for stitch. I'll go ahead and sew everything shut, and then whenever I get back, we will work on the cuff portion. Okay, so for the right mitten, by the time we are reached this point here, let's go ahead and cut. That end will need to be weaved in. Okay, so starting with the palm side of the mitten and the right side out, go ahead and attach your yarn right here. And just like for the left hand, you're going to start with your 11 single crochet for size medium. So I'm not going to go through all of the steps for the right glove because it is exactly, the steps are exactly the same. The only difference is we're starting it right here. Again, that is, I'll show you how it should look. The right side facing out, the palm of the glove. This is where the thumb will be attached. Forgive me. Like this. So you need to go ahead and attach right here. Other than that, follow, you can rewind this video and follow everything for the thumb portion. It's exactly the same. Okay, so here we go. This one fits so much better. I gotta tell you, I really regret making the other one bigger because this one fits so much better. So I'm definitely gonna have to make myself another one of these this size. Okay, so now to first I'm gonna show you the written out instructions for the original cuff if you want to make it that way. In this tutorial, I'm gonna go with the single crochet ribbed stitch, like ribbed cuff. But let me just get those instructions for you real quick. Okay, so that's how you do the ribbing. If you want to write that down or just pause the screen and use the screen. Okay, I'm going to be using the same 5mm hook and really just anywhere along the bottom. Of course, I'm going to go ahead and start at my not very good join. I didn't do a very good job joining it, so I'm going to use my ribbing to join this better. So I'm just going to go in and start with 13 chains. I like a rather long cuff on mittens. I feel like it just under a jacket, sweater, it just does a better job protecting. So I start with 13 chains to have 12 stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. And then working in the back bump, I'm going to work 1 single crochet into each stitch to the end, each chain stitch, for a total of 12 single crochets worked. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. One more right here. That makes 12. Okay, now for the next stitch over, but because I want to close this kind of area up right here, I'm going to jump way over and work a slip stitch, and then into the next stitch over, work a slip stitch. And there goes Mr. Merlin. Oh, I don't like that. I'm going to have to use my tail to really sew that shut. I'm sorry about my dog. Okay, so now we're going to skip those slip stitches and start with your back loop only, working single crochets all the way down to the end. Don't chain, just turn and work 12 single crochets all the way back up toward the mitten. Okay, at the end, And into the very first stitch, instead of going through just the back loop, go ahead and work through both loops. It creates a cleaner edge, and it's still just as stretchy. It just looks a lot neater and cleaner if you work through the full stitch instead of just back loop only. So the ribbing will be worked almost entirely in back loop only, with the exception of the end stitch here. That stitch will always end, which I don't think I did here. Maybe I did, I don't remember. But it will always end with both loops worked and begin with both loops worked. If I missed it this time, I was slightly, here comes the excuses, I was slightly distracted by my Merlin dog. And barkin'. Okay, that's 12 single crochets. Now, we already worked into this section right here, so we're gonna move up to the next section over and work a slip stitch, and then one more over. Now, I don't want mine too close together or you'll have a wide cuff. I prefer the cuff to be rather narrow and firm to the skin. It's not tight, it's just gonna, you know, hug the skin. So instead of working here, I'm gonna jump over as if I'm skipping a stitch and work a slip stitch there. Now skipping those 2 slip stitches, starting in my first single crochet, back loop only, working all the way to the end. Last stitch, I will work through both loops. First stitch, I will work through both loops, and then back loop only. And you can see already that it's creating a nice clean edge that's still stretchy. It looks really good. Here's how it looks completed. I have to weave in my ends, but as you can see, it looks really nice and cleaned up, in my humble / not humble opinion. In my totally biased opinion. Work my way back down. Oh, sorry. I'm rushing myself. I always get this way toward the end of a video. I get so jazzed up to finish and edit that I rush myself a little bit. So I've already worked into this stitch here. So into the next space over, I'll go ahead and work a slip stitch, and I'm going to jump over this whole deal and work a slip stitch here. So I'm really bringing in my ribbing, almost cinching the wrist part a bit, skipping these 2 slip stitches and into the single crochet. So just work this all around and then come on back and I'll show you how we're going to join everything together. Okay, so I have worked myself all the way around. I don't have any more stitches that I can work into. So what I'm going to do is tension back up if I can. There we go. And I'm just going to slip stitch right here into this section right here. Like, I guess I didn't show that very well. Just right here into what is apparently the top of this first stitch here. Just going to slip stitch there. There we go. Now go ahead and close everything, doing your best to match stitch for stitch. Go into the very first stitch, both loops, and the stitch just across from it, both loops, and work a single crochet. We're going to create one of these ridges here so that it blends in pretty good. So going into both loops on both sides and work a single crochet. If I said slip stitch, I meant to say single crochet. All the way down to the bottom, and then this will finish off your mitten. I always like to count to make sure that it doesn't look like I am matching stitch for stitch at this point. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's 5. So what I'm going to do now is go back into the same stitch I just worked into, but just on this panel. Then I'm going to come over here and grab a new stitch on this panel right there and work a single crochet. Try that again. So I'm going back into the same stitch I just worked into. You can see my stitch coming out of it. Go into there. Then come over here and pick up a brand new unworked stitch, and then this will even everything out. There we go. There we go. Now I have 4 left to work on both sides. No big deal, easy fix. Okay, and then the last stitch, work a single crochet, chain 1, and cut, weave in all your ends, as if you need to be told to do that. Everybody knows. Okay, and there is the cuff, which I really like this type of cuff so much better. And then whenever you're wearing it, and I wanted the cuff to be long so that whenever you're wearing it under your jacket or your sweater, and say you reach forward for something or you lift your arm up, and you can see how that single crochet, by picking up both loops on both sides, we eliminated the loops on those sides and replaced them with the top of our single crochet, which is twisted off to the side. The single crochet is actually laying off to the side, and it helps it blend in and look like the rest of the cuff stitches at a glance. Anyways, I wanted the cuff to be long because I used to live in the cold, you know, granted I live in a hot desert now, but I used to live where it snowed. You lift your arms up, you reach over to grab something, your jacket sleeve gets pulled back, and you are blasted with a cold shot of wind that goes like right up your arm. So that's why I like a long cuff for mittens, a long firm cuff. As you can see, it's on there. Okay, guys, that is it. So, okay, guys, I will see you in the next video. Bye.